All right, hello and welcome to this episode where we're going to talk about false memory OCD. So, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Matt Codde, and I am the founder of Restored Minds and the creator of the AAA Response. And this is a FAQ video or episode. So, this is when we're going to, take a question that's been submitted by one of the viewers and just answer it directly. And so if you have questions that you'd like to present for us to consider for future episodes, all you need to do is just look out down in the notes there, and there's a little link where you can submit a question, and we'll be happy to review it and consider it. So, and then real quick before we dive in, please help us out by liking and subscribing, as well as leaving a nice review on iTunes or Spotify. And then also, if you're looking for support, we have some links down in the notes as well to help you get started. So this question comes from one of the viewers, and it reads, how do I differentiate between events in the past that have actually taken place that I feel guilty about and false memory OCD? I find myself always saying, what if I did X, Y, and Z, and just suppress the memory? So this kind of has a big overlap with what some people call like real event OCD, in the sense of like an event took place and then the person just ruminates, and stays on that event, right? And this could be something from, hey, there was this job that I really wanted that I didn't get, and they just replay it, or this relationship that ended and something bad happened, and they just replay it and replay it and replay it and essentially loop on it. And then there's the overlap of false memory OCD, where someone will be wondering if something happened in their past that they can't remember, or even misremembering whether or not something happened. So these things kind of overlap here, so it's worth mentioning them both in this episode. So when it comes to, how do you differentiate between events in the past that have actually taken place that you feel guilty about? It's almost like the answer is kind of in the question, is because like the events took place, right? You're like, this happened, I feel guilty about this. There's not a question on whether or not it did. It's when you start hearing the question of, what if this happened and I don't remember? That's a big telltale that there's that false memory, because again, it's the questioning of the memory itself. And in this idea of what if I've suppressed the memory? At the end of the day, like, obviously our brains can't store, I mean, maybe they can, but we definitely don't seem to have the ability as humans to access every single memory of every single day of our lives, So the brain has this tendency to kind of prioritize certain memories and kind of hold them. But at the same time, what seems to really correlate with memories is emotion. So when we have certain emotions that are very powerful, that memory seems to be more sticky. So especially when we have like, really intense, positive or negative emotions, so really angry about something, really fearful, guilty, shameful, but then also, the joy, excitement, all that stuff. Even extreme feelings of peace and bliss, kind of can almost get stored in the nervous system. And what seems to happen, and this is what Hawkins talks about in his book, Letting Go, is that as we actually work to feel the feelings of past events, especially like in this situation, like guilt. So if we actually like work with the feeling of guilt and feel it and allow it, that tends to release the memory, or the memory's not so prevalent, it's not so sticky and powerful. And we're able to kind of, again, release the feeling. So what I tend to work with someone who is caught on an event like this, especially if there's like the presence of guilt in a real, is that really working with the feeling itself that seems to be sticking, as opposed to trying to talk through the event And by actually feeling through the feeling that's associated with that event or that false memory, even the fear of the potential false memory, whatever it is, that has a tendency to really kind of break the grips, right? Because really what the person is unwilling to sit with is not the memory itself, but the feeling that they're experiencing generally, right? Not in every case, but when we're talking about false memory OCD and real event, there's a big overlap there. Sometimes a real event can create this idea of that I have like false memories around it, and they kind of overlap a lot, in my experience. So, the question of how do you differentiate? Well, with real events, you don't usually question whether or not they're real because there's a conviction that this was a real thing that happened in the past. Even then, it still is the past, right? So even if you did, let's say, you ended a relationship that you look back on and have regret over. Well, that happened, it did, so it's like going and ruminating about the relationship is fruitless. It doesn't serve any point, right? So you might feel bad or guilty or regret about that, and then by feeling through that feeling, usually we're able to kind of break and release, and then not feeding it and doing all our mental compulsions, right? So really it's about, we need to, same exact thing here, right? We need to stop the behaviors, we need to stop the compulsions, and once we do that, then we're able to kind of really start to loosen the grip that the particular memory or the fear or the doubt or the thought has on us. So and then anytime you're hearing the what if or the doubt, that's like screams OCD and anxiety, because it likes to live in that uncertainty. So that's where you embrace the idea of like, oh, if I suppress some memory about that, then whatever, right? Kind of moving to that indifference, because to try to go back and make sure you never suppressed a memory or something like that, it's like that's just going to be a huge compulsion that's just going to keep you spinning again and again on that, and ultimately taking you out of your day-to-day life. So hope that was helpful. It was, again, a great question. And again, like I said, if you have questions that you're interested in submitting for the show, we have a link down in the notes for that, as well as if you're looking for support, head over to Restored Minds, as we have restoredminds.com, as we have several options for you. So thank you so much. Wish you guys a great week, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Hey there. So if you enjoyed that video, we've linked up a few more videos that we think you'd find helpful as well. And if you have found this helpful, we'd really appreciate your support by liking and subscribing. And if you're looking for help and guidance, please check out restoredminds.com, as we have several options for you to get started. See you guys soon.